Hey, hello. It is Get to the Work Wednesday. Yes, Get to the Work Wednesday. Super excited about this. Um, Pricing is one of those topics that everybody wants to get in on, right? As you know, definitely going to do things that normally do, right? We're going to share this out because there's a lot of entrepreneurs who really need to understand how to price their products, right, and services because oftentimes, entrepreneurs are out here and they have products and services and they're amazing, right? But they're not properly priced, right? Which causes a lot of issues. Number one, it causes profit issues for the entrepreneur, right? So you already have that problem in and of itself, and then it causes issues, right, later on when you're talking about building team and all of those other things. Um, so definitely wanted to go ahead and come in here and talk about pricing, giving you the work because the last episode, I talked to you about, why you need to price, properly, how to do that, and making sure like you understand what you need to price, the things that are inside the pricing, right? And so I did all of that the last time, right? I did all of that last time. So I'm not gonna go through all of that again this time. If you didn't catch it, well, go catch it. Is all I'm saying, right? Catch the last one. But we went through all of that stuff, so I want to make sure like you understand this is about the work, right? This is the work of doing the pricing. Like we're not preparing you to price. Like yesterday we prepared you to price, right? Last time we prepared you to price. This time we are going to do the work, right? Because it's Get to the Work Wednesday. And one of the things that I always say is that entrepreneurs, right, we like the sexy part of our business. We like the part that we like, yes, we're in love with this part of our business. But quite frankly, there is work behind entrepreneurship that we have to get to, right? And so I want to make sure we get to that. Hey, hello, come on in, right? Let's talk about maximizing how to price for maximum profit, right? So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna introduce myself because I never take for granted that you just know who I am. I like to think my marketing is good, right? I like to think it's good, right? But I'm not going to just assume that you know me. My name is Erica Lane. I am the money elevation strategist, right? I tripled my income using what is now my profitable entrepreneur money makeover program. I have been an entrepreneur for what seems like forever. I feel like I was like birthed as an entrepreneur, right? Anybody else feel like that? Like birthed as an entrepreneur. Thing you'll learn about me really quickly is that I'm authentic. I'm gonna get to it. We're gonna work. We're gonna get it done. But you're going to be profitable in your business because of it. Grew up in New York City, the financial capital of the world. They taught us how to get money, but never how to save any of it, right? It was always spend it fast, right? And I think a lot of that carries off over into entrepreneurship. I think the culture is that, just to be quite honest. Had a lot of money, put my blood, my sweat, my tears, my money right into a business, grossed $750,000 annually, and then it collapsed because the government decided that it was going to change things. And so went my business, right? And so went all the entire business. And so I speak to you all from a space of authenticity, but also from someone who's been to the mountaintops and the valley low, right? Someone who understands. I get it. I completely get it more than most, right? I completely get it. So I want to make sure that you do it right. I have built businesses and been successful, but I've also built businesses and failed. Like just keep it real. Like I know most people never tell you that because they're the expert, right? All the things, but I have failed, right? I've jacked it up, right? And so I want to make sure that other entrepreneurs don't jack it up like I did, right? And also too, or jack it up the way I see, many people who come to me as clients and the like. Okay, so just so that you know, I'm an award-winning chief profit coach at Global Profit Solutions, certified international keynote speaker, right, an annual summit founder, right, and I've been featured in all types of press all over the place. Press organizations, right, all over the place. That's the fancy schmancy stuff. It's not my thing. But like we talked about yesterday, right? Because I like to get into the work. Right, let's get to the work, right? So we like to talk about last time, right? We talked about how you actually decide your current pricing. And I want you to keep in mind, I told you last time, right? Keep in mind how you are pricing, right, your products and services, right? Why you're pricing your products and services. And remember, yesterday I told you, right? You need to make sure that when you are pricing your products and services, that you're not just pricing it because you think that's what it should be priced, right? We're not going off of emotions, right? That's not. We're not gonna do it. We're not gonna do it, right? It's not an emotional decision, right? It's a numerical decision. I say that all the time, right? Entrepreneurship, profit management, all of those things are not emotional decisions. They are they are numerical decisions. And so making sure that we understand how and the numbers behind pricing our products, right? So you want to take into consideration for a couple of factors. Number one, right, you do have to do your market research, right? You need to know. You don't want to be out here charging, uh, $1 million for a mug, right? Because that's not the going rate of a mug. I know I gave an example yesterday that I saw at Tiffany's. They have a paper clip that's I think it's a couple of $1,000s, something like that, right? And they have the market for that, right? So some of that is that, right? But you need to do your market analysis. You need to know what your competitors are actually charging. Now, listen, like I said yesterday, do not be consumed by what they're charging. That ain't none of your business, right? Your business, right? Because you don't know why they're charging what they're charging. You don't know what vendors they have. You don't know what relationships they have. You don't know what other costs go into that, right? So there's so many things that could go into pricing. So make sure that you do your market analysis, but don't get consumed with it, right? Then you need to understand what it costs you, not what it costs everybody else, but what does it cost you to create this product or service, right? I gave you some examples about if it's a product, you may need a container to put the product in. You need an actual product. You may need the labels. You may need, right, shipping and all of the things, right? And if it's a service, right, it is your time. It is, maybe you had to pay some graphic designers, right, to design the book cover. It's a book cover or whatever the thing is, right? And so you have all of those things that need to be involved in your pricing, right? Also think about team. We talked about that, like, right, having your team, because you got to pay them. Right? You absolutely positively have to pay them. And they love you, but they ain't going for free, right? Or at least not for a long time. And so you need to make sure that your pricing includes team, right, for your products and services. And then it also needs to include your business operating expenses. Remember, I told you that, the problem that I see oftentimes with entrepreneurs is that they have more month than money, meaning they rob Peter to pay Paul. It's like they get paid for whatever product or service that they have, and then automatically that money is going right back out the door, right? With no care for business operating expenses, the things that you pay for your business month over month over month over month, right? So you want to make sure that inside your pricing, and I'll give you the equation in a little bit, but inside your pricing is also your business operating expenses, right? So you never have to worry about it. And I dropped the gem that you should not only have just one business account. You should not be operating your full business out of one account. Okay, because that's going to lead you into some trouble later on down the line. If when people work with me, they realize, oh, I need to set up multiple accounts for multiple things. You absolutely do, because what you don't want to happen is money gets changed in, or something happens in one account and now it affects your whole entire business, right? I know that happened to me one time. Yes, I know. Imagine, yeah, me. That happened to me one time where one of the banks, I will not name them, right? I'm not going to do all that, but one of the banks, a bank I was banking with at the time, they had some sort of catastrophe. Somebody didn't put some numbers in right, whatever the case may be. Account had a whole trauma. I'm spending, and the worst thing in the world is to know you have money on a card, or know you have money in your account. So you're not thinking about it's going to decline. You're thinking to yourself, yeah, I've got plenty of money in this account. It's good. Yeah. It's the most embarrassing thing in the world. And we get mad over mad, especially because we know we got the money, right? But it caused a whole catastrophe in my account. And I only had one account for business at the time, right? And so I was on a business trip. It was absolutely crazy, right? But I say all that to say, like, you don't want to have just one account. There are multiple accounts that you need. We'll talk about that on another session. We'll talk about your business banking, and how that creates a profitable situation for you. So we'll talk about that another time. But multiple accounts, because you don't want, one issue to be created throughout your business, right? Because had I had my accounts the way I have them now, right, it would have caused a problem for a very small part of my business. But because it was all my money was in one account, it caused a disruption for my whole entire business, right? And so you definitely want to make sure, like, that's not the case for you. Okay. So we want to make sure that we do that. We talked about mind shift. I broke down what what profit really is, and understanding the difference between selling something, right, and profiting. Remember, revenue minus expenses equals profit, and then selling something, right, is processing the payment, right. That's the revenue that you bring in, right. That's not profit. That's that's just the revenue you bring in, right. But revenue minus expenses equals profit. So we definitely talked about that. We talked about goals. But all right, so let's get to the work. I want to give you a little recap. But let's get to the work. So yesterday, or the last episode, right? Yesterday, we talked about. I love saying last episode. It's so fun. But the last time we talked about, right, your products or services. Okay, and so I told you you're going to need to know what your price is currently for your product or service, right? And it's okay. Like I had a mentor say, take a deep breath, right? And if the price needs to be raised, you know what you do? Just change it. Boom, raise the price. If you realize that you're now having a problem, right, which is oftentimes what it creates. If the prices need to be changed, just change the price. However, make sure that we are providing the value that comes with the price that we're going to charge, right? Because I hear people always say, hey, raise your price, raise your price, raise your right, raise your price, raise your price, raise your price, right? But make sure that the value is there to raise your prices, right? So that's just my own little thing. I'm a stickler about value, right? And pricing, right? So there's that. All right. So what I want you to do is, and you can do this in a graph, you can do this, on a piece of paper, however you have it, right? But I want you to, list your product and services. Take some time. I mean, right now, you obviously listening live, so you can't do all of the things, but list your products and services, right? One under the other, put another column, right? And then write down your current prices for your products and services, and then create the third column, which is the cost to actually create the product or service, like literally the cost, like everything. And when I say everything, y'all, I mean everything it costs you, right? If you gotta spend 60 cents to go get a stamp. I don't know how much stamps are these days, right? It's been a long time. But if you need to put a stamp on something and it costs you 60 cents to do that, that's a part of the cost, right? If you need to create labels, and and the printouts, right, are $1.80 per printout. I don't know, y'all, because I'm just saying I haven't done products in a long time. But if that is the case, right, you need to add that $1.80, because oftentimes what I see with entrepreneurs is that we do not add the little things, and those little amounts start to add up. Those little amounts start to add up, right? And we're like, oh, it don't cost me much. And I have literally seen someone who said, oh, I'm selling something for $19.99. That sounded reasonable, until she realized, and she thought she was spending like $12 per. Excuse me. Yeah, she thought she was spending $8 per product, right? So she was charging $19.99, so she had the $12 markup, right? So She thought that she was spending $8. The problem is she wasn't spending $8 because all of the other little things that she was not adding up into that, she ended up realizing she was actually spending almost $15 per product to create that product. And she was selling it for $19.99. Not much room for anything else, right? So I want you to understand what the actual cost of your product or service is, like, and include your time. I know I told y'all we won't get to the work today. We get to work today, right? The actual cost of your product. I need you to add in your time, right? Whatever it is, and no, nobody can tell you what your time is. And I know people say, I need to charge my worth. You are priceless, sweetie. So you can't charge your worth, but what you can do is charge right for your time, right? And whatever that is for you. For some people, that is what they make it at their job. For some people, it's $1,000 an hour, whatever that is, right? Only you can decide that, right? Within reason, obviously. But whatever that is, you have to dictate that. Like, I know specifically how much per hour I make in my business. If I was to break that down in time, when I spend time doing things, this is what it costs. Because if I were to work with a client, or I would work with someone, this is what the charge is for them to work with me for an hour, right? If I were going to do it like that. I don't really run my business by the hour, but if I were, that is what it would be, right? So you need to be clear about what that cost is. So you need to include your time, right, in there as well, because you should be getting paid out of creating your products and services. Come on, right? You should definitely be getting paid out of that. So that's the first thing. Okay, so now I want you to create another graph, right? Okay, and this is going to be 5 columns. Okay, so how many columns? 5, right? So this is the market research graph that I need you to make. Okay, it is the column should be name of your product, right? Name of the product by your competitor, right? Because you need to know, right? Who's in your proximity. Who's your closest competitors. So it should be the name of a product by your competitor, right? Their site would be the next column. The third column would be their price, right? The fourth column will be your comparable product, and then the fifth column would be your price, your current price. Okay. And when you do this, right, you'll start to realize, like, either you're way over your competitors, right, or you way under them, right? And for me, I would like to say the way I do pricing is not, if they charge $19.99, I'm gonna charge $19.98. Like, I don't believe in that, and I don't think that is the best way to price your products or services for your business. You should always do what is best for your business, not what you see other people do, not what, no ma'am, no sir, right? So you definitely have to do the market research, but I want you to write that thing down, right? And be clear about it so that you can see it in black and white, like, oh my goodness, this is where we are, right? Because the things that you pay attention to, you're actually going to do, and you're going to do something about it, right? So let's make sure that we write that down, right? And remember, yesterday I told you about your business operating expenses, right? And I told you we'd go through them today, so I ain't gonna make myself lie, right? Right? So some expenses to think about when you're talking about business operating expenses, which is going to be inside your pricing. This will all come together. I promise you that it will. Your business operating expenses, right? Things to think about when you're talking about a business operating expenses. For me, the definition is anything that you have to pay for because you own or run this business. What thing did I say? Anything. Anything. It does not matter, right? If you have to pay for it because you own this business, whether you pay for it monthly, whether you pay for it quarterly, whether you pay for it annually, right? Do you pay for it, whatever the thing is, if you pay for it, right, in your business, you need to make sure you're accounting for it in your business operating expenses. Things like utilities, professional development, team, business meals, taxis, shipping, phones, printing, legal, right? The charges of your savings, the charges of your travel, any fees from the banks that you may incur on a monthly basis, or just period, marketing, advertising, office supplies, conferences, right? Because many of us go to conferences all the time, and there is not a line item in our budgets to talk about conferences, right? So we need to make sure that it's in there, right, for business operating expenses. Two that I think most people end up forgetting about is insurances and licensing, right? So if you have a business where licensing is something that you need to do to stay in business, right? Oftentimes people forget about that insurance and licensing and the cost and fees for your state, right? So if your state requires that you re-register your business each and every year or each and every month, whatever it is in your state, right? You need to make sure that is in there, right? So those are your business operating expenses. Now, when I create an annual profit plan for a business owner, we go through all of this and so much more, because I'm going line item through line item of everything in your business, right? That we need to make sure that you're accounting for in your budget, right? And we talked about budget previously. If you didn't see that or you didn't go through that, listen, go back, go back and look at it. Yes, we talked about, profitability using the B word, which is budget, right? That's the B word, y'all. Like, don't get you in trouble. But that's the B word, budgeting. So make sure that every line item in your budget is accounted for in your business operating expenses. But here's one that I feel like we miss a lot of times, right? A lot of times entrepreneurs tend to miss, right, how they're going to serve, right, their product or service, especially when you talk about, I gave the example of Black Friday, right? You get all these customers, you're excited, you're like, yes, I got all these customers, oh my God, but you didn't plan for fulfillment. You didn't plan fulfillment. And I know you're saying to yourself, wait a minute, Erica, this is fulfillment. Okay, this is when I get a customer, but what does that have to do with the pricing? Well, what it has to do with the pricing is you need to accommodate and you need to make sure that inside your pricing is the process by which you will fulfill that product or service. That is part of the cost of the product or service. And the reason that is because you would not have to pay those costs, or you would not have to do that if you were not providing this product or service, right? So when you're thinking about this, I want you to also think about fulfillment, right? So write out a fulfillment plan. Now, we do all of this when I do the annual profit plan for my clients, but you know, make sure you're clear. Like, no, when I'm pricing, yeah, I'm thinking about fulfillment too. Like, how you going to deliver what you said you was going to deliver on? Because there is nothing worse. And here, be clear. There is nothing worse than ordering a product or a service from an entrepreneur, right, and not getting it, or getting it 6 months later because you didn't have a process to fulfill it, right? What people are you going to need? Fulfillment people, right? Business systems, customer service. That we talked about team a little bit earlier, but the folks who are going to do the things, right? And maybe the systems and folks who are going to do the things, right? And then you need to understand from your annual profit plan, like how many of these products or services you're going to provide each and every year. I know what you're saying. Erica, this is a lot of numbers. I know it, right? But when you get pricing right, so much stuff gets a whole lot easier. I promise you. Like when you get this right, when you get these numbers right, it changes the game for you and your business. So make sure that you get those numbers right. So all right, fine. Finally, we here. We are here at the pricing equation, right? So I want you to be clear and write this down, right? Your pricing equation is your business operating expenses. Remember we talked about that, right? In parentheses, rather. Sorry, in parentheses, rather. Your business operating expenses, right? Plus the product cost creation. Remember what it costs you to create your product and services, and make sure you include taxes, shipping, right, filming, all the stuff, right? So that's in parentheses. Plus, right? You know how to do order operations. I hope that's something that they still teach in math class. But plus your profit percentage, right? So your profit percentage again is a choice that you have to make. It's a decision you have to make, right? But inside the profit percentage, I suggest that people put in your time and your business growth, like whatever it is, whatever growth opportunities you're going to have in your business, right? Which is why I teach people to have an annual profit plan, because you can't decide on how your business is going to grow if you don't have a plan for it. You just can't, right? So and make sure that you have your profit percentage in there. I also tell people you should include retirement, because I love you entrepreneurs. I really do. But y'all act like you're going to be doing these things for the rest of your life. And the reality is, especially if you provide some sort of service that requires you're not necessarily going to be doing this until you're 95 years old, right? At some point, you're going to retire, and we need to plan for that, right? But making sure that that's also in there in your profit percentage, right? Because you're going to have to deviate, you're going to have to, excuse me, you're going to have to divide that up between some of the accounts that I talked about earlier, right? And then, right? So once you get that big number, and it's going to be a nice juicy number, it's going to be big. Then you're going to need to divide that by the units to be sold, right? So how many of these are going to be available? Is it going to be 50? Is it going to be 100? Is it going to be 1,000? Is it going to be 1,000,000, right? Once you have that number, like I said, divide that by the units that will be sold. And that, my friend, is your pricing. So remember, in parentheses, it's business operating expenses, right? What does it cost you to run your business, right? Plus product cost creation, right? Because you got to create the product, right? Get that in there. Plus profit percentage. After that's in parentheses, rather, plus profit percentage, right? And then divide it by units to be sold. Once you have that, you have your pricing. And now at bare minimum. And here's the thing, it's not necessarily the price you're going to charge, but what it is at bare minimum, this is what I need to charge for my products or services to make sure my business stays in the green, or in the black rather, and not be in the red. Like, this is the minimum. So when you're thinking about, oh, I know I'm going to go have a sale, and I'm making this up for y'all, but I know I'm going to have a sale for Black Friday. And if I know after I've done this equation properly, that I have to, after I've done this equation properly, I have to minimally charge something for $19.99, right? I know that if I'm going to provide a sale, right, a 25% off sale, right, I know that I can't have this price at a regular price for less than, right, for less than $25. Why? Because if I take the 25% off, what I don't want it to be is less than this $19.99 that I have to charge to make all things meet, right? And remember, just to answer your question, you said BOE. Is that the BOE for the entire year? No, 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 no. No, that number would be way too large. The number would be like way too large. What I tell my clients is you need to break down BOE based on, you need to know what your BOE is, like your entire BOE, what it is for the year, and then you need to break it down based on price, right? So for instance, if you have a low price item, right? You have a medium price item, you have a low tier, rather a medium tier, and then a high tier. So let's say your low tier is anything under, and I'm making this up because I did this for another business, but their low ticket is anything under $200, right? That's low ticket for them, right? And then their medium tier is anything over $200, right, but less than 1,500, right? And their higher ticket is anything above that. So you need to figure out what your BOE is, right, for the year, and then do the math or the percentages of how many of these items you're going to sell per year, right? And so we dive deep into that. That's why like the annual profit plan is so important, right? Because we go through all that. Right? But understanding your BOE, and then breaking down, okay, my lower tier, let's just say my lower tier is 7%, my medium tier might be 10%, and my higher tier might be 30%, right? So, excuse me, my medium tier might be 15% of my BOE, right? So you need to put that number inside this equation. So the BOE, whatever the percentage is for this tier of product, and you already know what this tier of product is. You know, like for instance, if it's a book, you know this is probably a low ticket item, right? It's probably gonna be a low ticket, right? You probably know like if it's a one-on-one coaching, that's high ticket, right? You know that maybe group coaching might be mid ticket, right? But put the BOE in there, and then your product cost, right? What it costs to create it. And then put those in parentheses, add those up in parentheses, and then your profit percentage, whatever that profit percentage is. And once you come up with that number, then divide it by how many of these items you're going to sell. But you need the clarity to know how many of these items you're going to sell, right? In order to make this work. But part of understanding what the having that clarity gives you, part of understanding that clarity is because you have an annual profit plan, so that you're clear on how much money you're going to make each and every year. So we've broken all of that down, giving you the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, and how it all happens, right? So you already have these numbers, right? If you all work with me, you have these numbers, right? It's as simple as plug and play, right? But if you're doing it on your own, right, it gets a little bit, interesting, but you can do it. It's not that difficult, right? You can do it. But if it's already there, it's already there, right? It's already done for you, it's already done for you, right? It is what it is. So definitely I'm super excited. I know pricing is not the most easy thing, but I can tell you that when you get this right, it changes the game for your business. Because once you have the numbers correct, right, you can be confident about saying those numbers. Oftentimes, we're nervous about pricing, not because we don't believe in our product or service, not because we don't know that our product or service is going to transform people and give them exactly what they're going to need. We're nervous about, we're not confident about it because we don't really know if it's going to work, like if people are really going to purchase it at this price, or also too that we're going to be able to cover, right, all of the things that we need to cover in our business. And I'm telling you that if you actually price these things out properly, right, you absolutely will be more confident about it. You'll be able to state your prices and be like, the price is the price, sis, bro. Like, it is what it is, right? And when people come to me and they say, okay, Erica, you know what, I want to work with you in this, great. Just here's your invoice. Right, with a smile, yes, with a smile. Right, I'm confident in being able to say, this is the value that I bring, right? These are the problems that I solve, right? And this is the investment it's going to take to get the transformation that you're looking for. But I'm only confident about that because I've done the numbers and I know it all works, right? So there is that. All right, listen, we've talked about a lot. Like, I've broken these, I've given you equations. I don't I've broken down what each part of the equation actually is and how to get there, right? I've talked to you about expenses, right? I've talked to you about BOE. I've given you charts that you need to fill out. And listen, this is not a 5-minute thing, right? Those charts, you're gonna need to do some work. You're gonna need to figure some things out, maybe some Googling, maybe some looking at, some different things. But once you figure out those numbers, right? Once you can put those that information into those charts, things will start to click. It'll start to make more sense. And so we went through all of that. Listen, did I tell you we were gonna get to work? I know it. I know it. I know it. We're gonna get to the work, y'all, because the thing is that you can't expect greatness from your business, greatness from entrepreneurship, right? Greatness from anything, in my opinion, without getting to the work, right? And you got to get to the work of your numbers. I promise you, once you know the numbers, everything else sweet. Hey, beautiful. Everything else is sweet, right? So I appreciate you for being on because you could have been anywhere in the world, but you here with me, and I appreciate that, right? Today is Get to the Work Wednesday. Tomorrow is Throwback, right? Throwback Topic Thursday. So we're gonna throw back to one of the topics from the Real Money Talk Summit. Um, Years past, whether it was this year, last year, the year before, right? We're gonna dig in, right? Dig in the crates and pull out a topic for tomorrow. So that's Thursday, and then on Friday it's Phone a Friend Friday. This is when you get to come on the live with me, right? And you get to ask me questions, introduce your business, all types of things. So I'm here for that, right? I'm always here for support, right? And always here to hear from other people and hear about their businesses. So you can absolutely get an introduction if you want to introduce your business, ask me questions, because while I have time, right? And I've got time in May. I got time. Right? I'm not gonna have time in June. I'm not going to have time, right? The Academy officially launches, the Global Profit Solutions Academy officially launches in June, which is where we do a lot of work, right? People will be able to, people who get inside the academy, they'll be able to, dig deep and go into profit management, pricing, all the things, right? But then also too, we have scheduled events for them. We've got retreats. We've got, live events. It's going to be absolutely amazing. There's going to be a round table in there where we're gonna go around and figure out how we can make more money and more money and more money together, right? So it's going to be amazing. I cannot wait to officially launch that. For those of you who were at the Real Money Talk Summit, you already got the code. That's all I'm saying. You got the cheat code. You got the early bird code. For those of you who are like, you just gonna leave me out? Like, no, I'm not gonna leave you out. I love you, right? Definitely message me, and I will send you the code for the academy. But for those of you who want to do Phone a Friend Friday, you also can message me and just put in Phone a Friend Friday. I'll know exactly what that is. And then I'll send you the link to go ahead and register for that. So I'm super excited. Definitely, if you want to connect with me, you could, because you're like, hey, Erica, I love all this. This is great. I need you to focus on my business. Like I need your attention. And that's fine. You can go to gpsnextstep.com, and um, that will get you on my calendar, because believe you me, if it doesn't go on my calendar, honey, it does not happen. gpsnextstep.com. I'm gonna try and be fancy and write that inside these chats. Y'all pray for me because y'all know y'all know this ain't my thing. But gpsnextstep.com will get you on my calendar, and we can kind of go through what you need, what can help your business, right, and how we can serve you here at Global Profit Solutions. So I'm super excited. I cannot wait. As I always say, it's not about the revenues you generate, it's all about the profit that you get to keep. My name is Erica Lang. I am the money elevation strategist who tripled my income in a little under 3 years using what is now my profitable entrepreneur money makeover program. If you need me, you know how to reach me. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.